Hello, my accidental artist friends. Today I thought I'd show you some of the work that I actually have done that wasn't too bad. This is what I worked on yesterday. You can see how it dries so differently if you watched yesterday's video than when I originally put it down. It does need attention. This needs to be built up. My tree needs some more attention. My waterfall needs more attention. That's why it's good to work on them and let them dry for a little bit before you actually consider it done. Sometimes with watercolor, it's good to have just a couple projects going at the same time so that you can go from one to the other. But today what I wanted to show you is some that I have done in the past that I really like. So you'll see that I'm not always just running paint and destroying a painting. I did this one recently, obviously around Valentine's Day. This was, I think I started wet on dry, but the more I added pigment, obviously the paper got wetter. And then I let it soften up and go into the edges to make a nice soft edge. And you do that with water. Then I went back in with my Micron pens. I love my black Micron pens, and went over it to make the flowers, and it just reminded me of a Valentine. So that I really like. If I like them well enough, then I'll go ahead and sign them. Otherwise, they just kind of end up in a stack somewhere. So that's one I did that I really liked. Let me see what else I have here to show you. This is another watercolor and ink study that I did. I did a wet wash first, obviously with the blue. And then I went back in again with the black pens. That's kind of fun to do that, doodle and look for shapes. And so I like that one. This one I really enjoyed. I did this one on Palm Sunday, last Easter, with the church in the background and then the palm trees in the foreground, just a hint of the church back here. Unfortunately, when I was splattering another painting, which means I need to be careful where I put my finished paintings, I got a blotch of green up there, for which I'm sorry that happened. I kind of hate to mess with it now, though, because I don't want to really make that worse. So I'm just leaving it there. But that's one that I did that I like. It's Palm Sunday. Obviously in Florida, with a hint of a church there. Let's see what else I have. I did this one the other day. This was all wet on wet. And I did it while sitting in my recliner. So I'm not back here in my art studio. I do have some supplies that I take into my living room just to paint in my recliner. And I wasn't feeling real well, so I wasn't up to being in here. But this is wet on wet. We were putting in an aquarium at the time. And so I like this. I purposely did these, we call these blooms, when you add more water and it just kind of blooms out. Now, it can be used effectively if you're trying to do it on purpose. If you're not trying to do it on purpose, you can kind of ruin your painting. This one, I did the ink first. And then the next day, I went in and played with the different colors. So I was thinking aquarium, underwater, and we were getting our fish at the time and setting up our aquarium. So that's my aquarium painting. I like that one. This one I did by request of a friend. This is from a reference photo. If you can see that or not. She had taken a picture as she was out for a Sunday drive out in the country. So obviously the focal point here is that little house and the fence and then the background. And I do like this one. This was last May of 2020. I think I really like this one. And I like the sun and I just like this one. So I think I may have sketched just the house, perhaps, to leave space for that. The thing about sketching with pencil is that when you do that, the pencil marks won't disappear after you've put paint on them. So you got to be careful. So I really actually prefer not to paint with sketch first. This is just another experimental playtime. Trees, land, water. Some are better than others, obviously. This one I kind of liked. This is more trees, rocks, water. This is what I was telling you yesterday about the hematite and how it kind of dries with that appearance of rocks and the sedimentation in the different levels. I like this one. And I've noticed in my paintings, whether I do it, I never do it intentionally, but sometimes after they dry, I notice that it makes a heart. This one has a heart here. I've seen that in so many of my paintings. I guess it's just the way I move my brush. That's another one I like. Here's one I did last spring that I did sketch first. This is from my azalea bush out front. Actually, it might need to go that way. I'm not sure. Not sure which way I painted it. I think I may have painted it this way. So I did kind of a wet on wet background wash, and then I went back in and did my azaleas. This is one of my most absolute favorites. This is my red spider lily. This one kind of has a story to it. My husband passed away in September, and we just did a private memorial for him, just family, up at my son's house in North Carolina. So when we got there, I had actually requested no flowers, and instead gave the name of a local missions that we support and really enjoy and love the people. And Jerry was such a part of them and their lives, and loved them so. So we had donations made to Frontline Missions instead of flowers to us. So when I got to my son's, I hadn't received any flowers, but there in the front yard was growing this red spider lily out of nowhere. They had, it's the only one they had. It had just shown up that day. They said, we don't even know what this is. But I was so fascinated by it. I went over and I took a picture, and I thought, oh, I got my flower after all. Later, I came home to paint this, and I cried through the entire painting, and I would have to stop and go back and paint some more, and stop, cry, and go back and paint some more. But actually, I did myself a favor in doing that, because then I didn't ruin it with too much water. I looked up the meaning of the spider lily, and because you know how flowers have meanings. And the red spider lily in the Asian culture is considered a symbol of, they show up and grow where you say your final goodbye to someone here on earth. And that just kind of blew me away, because there it was at my son's. We went up for the memorial service to say goodbye to Jerry, and there was that red spider lily. So this particular painting has a lot of meaning for me, and I've done a couple. I've done several actually, some better than others. But this one has a special meaning, and I need to find a frame for it because of the heart and the emotion that went into painting this. And this was not sketched ahead of time. This is just strictly with my watercolors as I went. But I love that. That's my spider lily. Let's see if I have some more that I'm willing to show you that actually didn't come out too badly. Show you the different things I've done in my journey. I like this one. I obviously did this one 2019. Just a flower. I was just free painting, spontaneous painting. and adding layers, let it dry, and come back and add some more layers. So that's just my flower. I do have a website that I post some of my better paintings on. They're not always successful, you know, and they don't have to be. It's just, that's what happens when you're learning. Here's one that I like. This is just kind of a beach scene at night. This was painted in 6/2020. Just using the one color. I think it's probably Payne's Gray, I'm guessing. Just kind of a stormy sky nighttime view, and the water. I like that one. I like the monochrome, or just maybe a couple colors from the palette. I enjoy doing those. I did this one. Here's another fishy. This is also a spontaneous painting that I did in a notebook. And I don't know what I was thinking when I started it, but it began to appear to me like coral. So I did make the orange fish, and then I put some wet drops of water after it was partially dry to kind of look like bubbles. And that was kind of cute. I did that in a notebook. This one I did, this is also 2019. A tree with some, that's supposed to be a park bench, I guess. And but the reflection and some people, one with an umbrella and one walking away. I was working on my doing people. I have gotten better at doing people, and I'm going to show you those in a minute. That's tough. I never thought I could do people. I like this one. I love the lavender. This was wet on wet, and then I dropped in the lavender colors to do the flowers, and then did some foliage after it was dry a little bit. So I like that one too. It's kind of like a lilac picture. Let me show you what I have done recently. Like I said, I have stacks everywhere. And in the process of learning, I'm always trying new things, new techniques that I get from watching my various YouTube instructors, as well as my Fearless Artist community with Angela Fair. Well, actually, she's calling it Heart-Led Artist Community. This was some flowers I did wet on wet. I needed to let it dry in between my layers because it got too wet. So one reason I like to videotape myself painting is because then I can learn what not to do next time. It just helps me to look back and go, oh no, I shouldn't have done that. So this had too much water, so it kind of faded out. I could probably save it coming back in, doing some, adding more pigment. I like this one. This is my moon, dark sky, just a moon and a dark sky. I love this one. I don't even remember when I did it. I don't think I even signed it, but it's really pretty. I was playing with a wash of colors in the back, and then I love to just go in with my black pen and do all these. I just look for spots and then go around them, and it just made this beautiful field of flowers. So I think I'm going to have to sign this one, and I'd love to put it in a frame. Wouldn't that be pretty? So I have so many, but not all are frame worthy in my opinion. But this one I think is. I like that one. Then I was trying, I did this one the other day, just playing. It turned out to be a watermelon, I think. I was just playing with my paints. That was also a recliner painting. I did this one, trying the ink first and then going back in with the water. So it was a little different technique, and it's okay. It's okay. Not the best. But I did the drawing first with the ink and then went in with color. I have this one that I'm contemplating what to do next. It's like a really good beginning. I let it dry. I love the softness in it. I love the look of the water, and then the background on the top. And I want to go back in and work on it, but I'm just not sure yet what I want to do. Sometimes when you do a painting, there's something that you like, you just have to learn to just stop and let it dry and just look at it, sometimes for days, until it tells you kind of what to do, or just leave it alone. I do think it needs a little more definition, and I could go back in with some more pigment, but I really like the way it is right now, and I don't want to ruin it. So right now it's just going to sit for a while, and as I study it and see what I want to do. Here's another flower and ink. I did the wet on wet for the paints, and then went back in with the ink to highlight the pictures. Now, people. I never, ever imagined or dreamed that I could paint people. To me, that was an impossibility. But lo and behold, I started trying and sketching, and discovered that just like everything else I'm learning in my lessons, it's values, it's darks and shadows and shapes. And I did this one of my husband after he passed away from one of his photographs. And I was just amazed that I could actually draw his likeness, and it really does look just like him. I didn't know I could do that, but I thought, well, I've looked at his face for 52 years, so maybe that's why it came so easily. But I never thought I could do people or portraits. But sure enough, there I went. I played with it, and there he is. So I love watching that one. Then I also did, this was last March of 2020, I did my granddaughter from a photo. And I just think this one came out so cute. First I sketched it, and then with fear and trepidation, I went in with my colors, because that to me is really hard, because you don't want to mess it up. You got to get those skin tones and shadows, and I have not taken any portrait lessons or people lessons. I ordered a course online that has lessons that I can watch, and actually it just kind of ruined it's like it made me worse, because I was trying to follow her formulas and stuff, and as much as I tried, I wasn't really being successful. I felt like I almost did better on my own. But I know I do need to learn the proportions and how the head fits on the neck, and what you see at different angles, and it's all plays into doing a successful portrait that actually looks like the person that you're trying to paint. So I love this one. Was my granddaughter Lark. This one I did just a sketch of my other granddaughter Marlo when she was just little, and she was catching snowflakes on her tongue. This was difficult because actually she did have her head tilted back, and so I didn't really get that slant in her neck like I needed to catch the snowflakes. But I still liked the sketch, so I didn't even bother to go back into it with paint, because I just like the sketch just the way it is, even though I know it's not accurate. Then I did do another one that I went back in and added her with her head back. Now this time I have her head back almost too much. If you do it from here up, if I were to crop it to frame it, that's what I would do, is like from there up, and then it looks better. The rest is just her coat that was hanging down, but it doesn't look like it fits her head. But I'm sure she was bundled up. But if I crop it here, it looks better. And I sketched it first, and then I went in with the watercolors to fill in and do the facial features and her little knitted hat that she had, and her hair sticking out, and the snowflakes. And one reason I loved it is because she was missing her two front teeth, and I just thought it was the cutest picture ever. Now she's senior in high school, about to graduate, so she's moving on. So those are some that I have done in the past. So you don't think that I'm just totally useless when it comes to painting. I wanted to share some of those. Today I'm going to do some painting in a little bit, but I'm not going to record it. I just wanted to show you those today and say hi. Thanks for watching, and like and subscribe, and please keep your comments nice. I'm an old lady, so I can take it, but try to be nice. My husband used to say, I know it's hard, but try to be nice. But please come back again. Pam Tuggle, the accidental artist, who just surprises herself by actually painting something worthwhile. Hope you're enjoying your day, and if you want to paint, just get a piece of paper and go for it. Thanks. Bye.